I think the topic we will talk about the most regarding artificial intelligence in 2025 will be AI agents. Currently, all LLMs, meaning OpenAI, Claude, or open-source large language models, are focused on the topic of AI agents. In fact, today, Tuesday, when I prepared this video, OpenAI announced ChatGPT 4.0 Tasks. I was going to say that by the end of this video, we might see AI agents working within models integrated into artificial intelligence models in 2025, but OpenAI immediately realized my thought by announcing ChatGPT Tasks. I was happy, but to be honest, seeing something I predicted come true gave me a strange sense of happiness. That's how we can find joy in such things. As always, we are not in a rush collectively. We are not running anywhere. First, we will try to understand what the AI agent topic is, its logic, and its usage. Because if we can understand this, we can easily build everything on top of it. What is the AI agent that we hear a lot about now, and we'll hear even more about? Artificial intelligence agent in Turkish. When I hear the word agent, it sounds creepy. That's why I will call it an agent. You can call it a yapay ajani if you prefer. You can also leave your warm, loving, and compassionate comments under the video about my insistence on using the Turkish term. That way, we won't miss out on our discussions. Normally, we input a prompt into artificial intelligence, and it responds. That's how we work. With an AI agent, however, you can define a task and have the artificial intelligence work towards a specific goal. These tasks can be very complex or very simple. We can define the GPTs of ChatGPT, which we use very frequently, and Claude's projects as AI agents because we define a task for them once, and they continue to work in the same way. For example, I have a Claude project. I told it that I will upload the scripts of my videos to you. Based on the scripts I upload, suggest a title for my YouTube video. I created this once months ago, and every time I open it, upload the script, and it instantly gives me my title. GPTs are like this too. They work in the same way. I can also make a video about GPTs or the project. What do you think suit you? Please write your thoughts in the comments. This is a simple example of using an AI agent. They can act autonomously by making decisions on their own. We can set it up that way. They can gather information from the environment, analyze it, and provide us with results. They can work towards a goal. They can interact with us or other systems, virtual assistants, chatbot customer service, AI characters in games, industrial robots. We can think of all of them as AI agents. The places where we can set up, use, manage, and grow AI agents are called frameworks. In other words, a framework. Within these, you can assign tasks to your AI agents. I'm not exaggerating at all right now. There are nearly 100 frameworks that are code-based, no-code, paid, free, and open source. Anthropic, or Claude, published an excellent document on December 20th about how we can theoretically and logically set up our AI agents. Actually, I was going to make this video earlier, but the Anything LLM projects got in the way. Since it caught your interest too, I didn't want to hold back. It was meant to be for today. By the way, Google also published a very successful document about agents in September. I'm leaving the links to both in the description section of the video. You can examine them in detail from there if you wish. I will try to explain the concept of AI agents to you, theoretically by going through these two. We will also have a clear idea about what we can do with AI agents and how we can design them. Let's get started right away. I'm on the AI-agentdirectory.com website. As you can see, there are hundreds of frameworks where you can set up AI agent workflows. The most well-known is LandGrab. Of course, it continues with Amazon Bedrock, Rivet, and Langflow's data syntax. In essence, you create a workflow that suits you by using the APIs of different LLMs. Anthropic warns us to keep this workflow as simple as possible. As complexity increases, both token consumption rises, and we move away from the desired outcome. I will proceed in this order as well. Anthropic kindly provided us with examples of how we can design AI agents. I will show examples from the simplest AI agent pattern to the most complex AI agent pattern. Let's look at our first example. This shows us the simplest AI agent pattern. We can explain this diagram through an AI restaurant assistant in everyday life. You can think of this as an AI agent chatbot. I am the user. I arrived at the input, so to speak. Let's say I wrote and sent my request to make a reservation for 4 people for dinner. The LLM, or the artificial intelligence model, works like the brain of the system, so to speak, and interacts with 3 important components. Retrieval, information access, meaning it will check the availability of tables at the restaurant during the evening hours. Tools, instruments. For example, it will perform operations like reserving a table and saving customer information using the restaurant's reservation system we are connected to via an API. Memory, again connected to an API or SQL or vector database. See how easy it is to add new things when the foundation is built solidly. A few weeks ago, I explained vector databases in great detail. By looking at the customer's previous reservations, it remembers their preferences, like wanting a window seat, preferring meat, or being a non-smoker, and also stores new preferences. Exit. As you might expect, the system responds to the customer with something like, "Your reservation is confirmed. Your table for 4 will be ready at 8 p.m. this evening." I think it's understood. This is very easy to implement. As you can see, thanks to this structure, the AI system can do much more than a simple question and answer flow. It searches for information, performs practical tasks, and offers a personalized experience by remembering past interactions. Just like a good restaurant employee would, it knows the customer, understands their needs, and produces suitable solutions. If our friend who makes reservations at restaurants is watching this video, I suggest they quickly make a new career plan. For example, they could move to the bar side. It seems to me that AI won't be able to make cocktails for a while. For instance, if I couldn't previously explain how important the model context protocol is, which allows Claude to easily connect directly to databases and our computer, I think it's understood now. I'm leaving the link to the video here. It was watched less than I expected. That video was actually a harbinger of a major transformation. I always remember, I might be getting unnecessarily excited. Revisiting my viewership predictions could also be a solution. We can continue with another usage example. We can call it prompt changing, or chain prompts. It breaks down a complex task into smaller steps. The output of each step is used as the input for the next step. Let me try to explain this through a comment on a product on an e-commerce site. Input. Let's have a user comment come in. Let's say they said, "This phone is great and the screen is very bright." We set it to LLM call 1. The gate reviews the comment. It checks for inappropriate content, spam, and whether it complies with site rules. If it doesn't meet the conditions, it stores the comment without publishing it. If it meets the conditions, meaning it passes, it sends it to LLM call 2. It categorizes the comment and extracts key points. For example, it makes the opinion about screen brightness more prominent. It sends the output to LLM call 3. This LLM also summarizes the comment. It associates it with similar comments, adds useful tags, and outputs it. The processed and approved comment is added to the site. It is used especially in processes that require multi-stage verification. Each stage checks the output of the previous one and ensures the process progresses securely. Let's continue with another AI agent workflow example. In this workflow, there is a system that classifies incoming requests and directs them to the most suitable LLM based on expertise. For instance, Not a Diamond does this. It examines the request coming from the user. It directs them to models like Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity. It provides an advantage both in terms of budget and response quality. Let's think of a customer service call center. Let's say a customer calls customer service and makes a request. We can think of the LLM call router, the directing AI model, as the switchboard operator. It will listen to the customer's request and classify it according to the topic. For example, LLM Call 1 is an AI model trained on billing issues. If the issue is related to billing, it will direct the request there. If LLM Call 2 is specialized in technical issues, it will direct technical matters there. If LLM Call 3 is specialized in products, it will direct product-related questions there. At the output, it will provide the customer with the response from the expert LLM. This is how the working logic operates. The main advantage of this structure is that each department can provide more effective service in its own area of expertise, enhancing the overall system's performance. Additionally, each unit can offer solutions optimized specifically for its field. The proper functioning of the routing system here is very important, because incorrect routing can reduce the efficiency of the entire process. In this example, we can choose Claude 3.5 Sonnet as the router, because it is currently successful. Others could be Gemini, ChatGPT, Haiku, and so on. The goal is to optimize costs. I explain with examples, but it's not misunderstood. If you find a reservation system, or they want customer service, interpret usage scenarios for your business. Which one solves your problem? That's what's important. You might need a completely different structure than what Anthropic offers. Another workflow. This structure shows an aggregate system that combines the outputs of LLMs working in parallel at the same time. A prompt arrived at the input point. The prompt is sent. to 3 different LLMs simultaneously. Each LLM performs its process in parallel at the same time. They send the results to the aggregator or combiner. The aggregator collects and processes all the results and sends the processed result to the outpoint as an output. To make it easier to understand, let me give a real-life example of this. We can think of it like the processes a Formula 1 car undergoes when it enters a pit stop. Let's say the input, meaning the F1 car, enters the pit stop. Parallel processes immediately start working. LLM call 1 changes the tires, LLM call 2 refuels, and LLM call 3 adjusts the front wing. Here, let's say the aggregator is the pit stop chief. It checks whether all the processes are completed, confirms that the processes are done correctly, and gives the green light. The exit out, the car leaving the pit stop, was a very good example, in my opinion. Now, we've come to a slightly more complex example. You can think of it as a mix between a router LLM and an aggregator. In this example, we have a conductor. They assign tasks to the musicians, receive the results, and create a song. The input, the initial prompt, comes into the system. The orchestrator, conductor, analyzes the task, breaks it down into subtasks, distributes them. The elements, or workers, perform the specific task assigned to them by our conductor. The synthesizer, or aggregator, brings all the results together into a meaningful whole. The output, out, we get the final result. Let me explain. Using the example of a symphony orchestra, the input in, let's say the notes of the symphony have arrived. The orchestrator, the conductor, took his seat. He calmly analyzed the piece and divided it into sections. He indicated when each instrument group should enter the piece. He set the tempo and determined the volume levels. He set it to the LLMs. LLM call 1, let it be string instruments, violin, viola, cello, double bass. LLM call 2, let it be wind instruments, flute, oboe, clarinet. LLM call 3, let it be percussion instruments, drum, timpani, cymbal. Let the synthesizer handle the mastering. Balance all the sounds and polish the final sound. Let's take the symphony music from the output. This structure was the one that intrigued me the most. I don't know if it's possible, but let's say I want to create an e-commerce site using artificial intelligence. As you all know, I don't know software either. This AI is really lagging behind in these software matters. Suno AI is creating full orchestra music with lyrics and instruments. Kling AI has started making films with character consistency. We're waiting for the coding assistants to get in the mood. I mean, in the end, isn't this all about prediction? In a photo, it predicts the next pixel. In a song, the next note, and in a video, the next frame. I mean, just predict the next code already. It's 2025, and it's still very difficult to get AI to create applications. It says it's finished, but it doesn't work. So we just stand there, looking at each other. I mean, if I knew, why would I ask you? There's a very clear need. Doors and windows are breaking. People are eager to create applications. Application, application, application. But it's just not happening. Our people have many ideas. They want to make them soon possible. I get many emails on this topic, but no. We're waiting. We're waiting with our hands tied. I also admit this. I mentioned earlier that we're making music with Suno AI. No one listens to the music that's produced. No one watches the videos produced with Kling AI either. Maybe they will never be watched. Similarly, many applications that are produced will never, ever be used. But the person has an idea, so let them do it. That was gendered, wasn't it? Let me correct that. The individual has an idea, so let them do it. But we're all waiting at the counter for the product to come out. My time for complaints is over. I'm returning to my topic. I entered my prompt. Make me an e-commerce site. No one can do anything with this prompt because this task has too many components. There are many things like the admin interface, the site's interface, the payment gateway, cargo integration, and design. So what will happen? My dream is this. Our conductor will come. They will say, I understand. They will say, please wait, we'll make it and bring it right away. They will distribute the topic to all the departments I mentioned, send it to the LLMs, package the incoming codes with a synthesizer, and present it to me. What do you think? Wouldn't it work? Let's continue with another structure. We can establish a production evaluation cycle. The input comes in as a prompt. The LLM call generator produces a solution. The LLM collaborator evaluates the produced solution. If accepted, it is sent to the output. Accepted. If rejected, it sends it back to the generator with feedback. Actually, this is exactly what I need in a code assistant. I asked for something, it says it's done, and sends it back. I try to run it, and it doesn't work. My friend, why am I the one checking if the code you wrote works? You'd set up an LLM evaluator here, and they'd keep going in circles for months on their own. Joking aside, if something like this becomes real, your credit card would be charged through the API because it can't write the code. Be careful if you set up such a system. To give an example from daily life, it can be thought of as the thesis writing process. The introduction could be the thesis topic. Generator, student, researches, prepares thesis, organizes sections. Evaluator, advisor, sends professor. The professor reviews, evaluates the thesis, accepting it as accepted or rejecting it as rejected, sending it back with corrections. This continues until the professor accepts the thesis or the student is at their wit's end. This process means less now. A lot of theses are being written with artificial intelligence. I know this. Don't ask me how I know. If I were to speak, it would cause a stir. Anyway, we can also establish more complex structures. There's a saying, you can only explain as much as the other person can understand. Therefore, it might be useful to see how the request or prompt we enter is understood by the model. Let's also look at this example. Anthropic has proposed such a structure. Let's explain it with an example from everyday life. Let's apply the e-commerce site project we just talked about here. Let's, as humans, send a query or a question request to the interface. Let's ask it to create an e-commerce site. The interface will send this request to the LLM. During the clarify and refine stages, the LLM will try to understand and clarify our request by conversing with us. So, you want an e-commerce site. What will you sell? How will the shipping system, payment systems, product categories, design preferences, and special functions be? What should be included in the admin panel? The LLM will improve and clarify further with questions each time. After this process is completed, the LLM will send the clarified request to enrollment for research. In this section, it will examine similar e-commerce sites, determine the infrastructure technology, plan the database structure, research API integration, and so on. I won't prolong it any further. All research results that emerge from here will be collected. Then the development and testing process will begin. Write code, coding the site, front-end development, back-end development, database setup, payment system integration, and so on. The status of the development stages will be reported to the LLM. The LLM will test outputs under headings such as security tests, performance tests, payment systems tests, and user experience tests. Results section, the test results will be evaluated. Complete section, the project will be finalized. Display section, a demo presentation will be made. In this structure, there are two sections crucial to me and I've always wanted. Until tests clear, development continues until all requirements are clarified, meaning until we are sure that everything the user has in mind is fully understood. And another is until tests pass. Development continues until all tests are successful. With such a structure, developing an e-commerce site is an ideal scenario. Constant communication ensures the customer control and testing at every stage. The system components, the front end, back end, and payment systems are developed together. Security and performance are monitored. Customer feedback is quickly used. It would be successful. Of course, I want to remind you, I'm explaining it like this, but I'm giving it as an example. So, with this structure, other things can also be done. Maybe an e-commerce site cannot be built. This was the final example of the structure. It seems a bit early to set up what I just described. I estimate it would take 2 to 3 months. Just kidding. I can't predict the future. I'm not a seer. But if this is achieved, I think a very important milestone will be crossed. I think the other workflows I described can be set up, even as of today. I believe they can be created by setting them up on the framework and continuously conducting tests and trials. Besides waiting for LLMs to develop further, there's another problem. Token limits and indirectly the cost, of course. Even while testing this, a lot of tokens will be consumed. As I mentioned at the beginning, while I was making this video, OpenAI announced ChatGPT Tasks. They were made available to ChatGPT Plus and Pro subscribers. They are not available for free accounts at the moment. I am unsure if they are. See, I came to ChatGPT. I navigated to ChatGPT 4 Tasks. The beta version has been released. Therefore, there might be minor issues, which will be resolved. I entered my prompt. I have a request that I wanted to do every day. I wanted to review AI news daily and give me a summary. Can you prepare the top 5 AI news highlights for me every day at 1956? After extracting them, prepare summaries in Turkish, each 1 paragraph long. I said, please only use foreign sources, and sent it. My dream is to break away from WhatsApp current news groups and email newsletters. The calendar setup is complete. I clicked on the 3-dot icon here and then clicked on the edit link from the menu that opened. From the pop-up that opens, I can change its name and description. From the scheduling section, I can change the scheduling period. I can rerun my request weekly, monthly, yearly, or on specific dates, and I can also change the time from here. I can delete it with the delete button or temporarily. Pause the process from here. I closed the pop-up. I clicked on the 3 dots here, and then on the link to view all tasks. You can see all scheduled tasks. Currently, it is limited to 10. Similarly, I can access the tasks from the menu that opens by clicking on the profile picture here. I'm waiting. Once it's completed, it will write in this tray, send a notification, and also send an email. It arrived, as you can see. It both sent a notification and wrote it here. Yes, it has gathered and summarized information from various sources. It looks good. Firstly, I mentioned foreign sources, yet it has taken information from Turkish sources. The information isn't current or daily. It's not crucial and will be corrected soon. This was a very important step towards ChatGPT becoming each of our digital assistants. You can set up and use the timing as you wish. For example, while learning a language, it can send you a new word or sentence every day. You can request a new story for each new day. You can have it track stock papers and exchange rates. I think it's very successful. Shall we verify the things I talked about today? Which of the AI agent structures I talked about today do you think this new feature of OpenAI fits into? It resembles the first model. Request goes to the LLM. I add a Google search to the tools, and the LLM asks it. It receives the answer. There's a two-way flow of information. We add a time tool, and it gives us outputs at the times we want. If we want, we can take the outputs to another LLM, that is, to another place for evaluation. We've reached the end of this video. I think we are all theoretically ready. There wasn't time left for practice, and there's no need anyway. There's no need for it right now. Let's digest what I've explained, sleep on it, and think about it. Of course, let's discuss it in the comments. I think AI agents will be very important architects of our future. What we are seeing right now, in my opinion, are the infancy steps of this technology. There are obstacles in front of it right now, but as the capacity of LLMs grows and processor speeds increase in the coming period, how we do our jobs, how we work, and even how we live will fundamentally change thanks to AI agents. We are right in the middle of this transformation, and perhaps the most exciting part is that the chance to shape this future is in all of our hands. Write down the AI agent workflows that come to your mind and let's see what comes up. For now, my plan is to look at which frameworks are available in next week's video and which frameworks we can easily set up and use AI agents on.